Hospitality Meets is brought to you by RotaCloud, the people management platform for hospitality teams. With its intuitive drag-and-drop rota planner and built-in budgeting tools, RotaCloud users spend an average of 66% less time on staffing-related admin, leaving them with more time to spend with their customers, train staff, or simply take a well-earned break. Head over to rotacloud.com/Phil to explore RotaCloud's full range of tools and features and sign up for your 30-day free trial. Welcome to Hospitality Meets with me, Phil Street, where each week we take a light-hearted look into the stories and individuals that make up the wonderful world of hospitality. Today's guest is superstar chef and restaurateur Adam Handling, owner of Adam Handling Restaurant Group. Coming up on today's show, Adam describes what pressure looks like.
Your heart's in your throat, your balls are inside your body, you don't know if you're going to throw up or shit yourself, and you're just really nervous.
Phil gets way too excited. Calm down, Phil, you're a 45-year-old man, get a hold of yourself. And Adam gifts us a huge reveal.
And I have to admit, that's the best thing I've ever achieved in my life.
All that and so much more as we chat through Adam's epic story and journey to date. It's so awesome to sit down with people who give a monkeys about what they do, and Adam talks with such passion throughout. He also dishes up more than his fair share of golden nuggets for you all to take on your way with you. A huge thank you to Adam for giving up his time. It is, of course, amazing to be back. This podcast exists to shine a light on the great and good of hospitality, and I'm going to continue to work hard, bringing you the best people at all levels and all areas. So if I can ask one favour of you, that would be to hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. It really does make a huge difference. Enjoy. And a huge Hospitality Meets welcome to man of the moment, Adam Handling. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Good intro.
Yeah. Well, you know, at this moment in time that we have, I've just literally finished watching Great British Menu 2023. I've been engaging with you a little bit on your Instagram feed around that journey, and man, I would have cried if you hadn't got a dish to the banquet this year.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
But you were consistent all the way through. Same as last year,
yeah.
As you said. I think you called it the Great British Spencer Show or something like that last year. But this year you did it.
I said that in a positive way because he was such a phenomenal chef, or he is such a phenomenal chef, and he dominated the competition last year.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, I'm sure we'll get into this. For the uninitiated out there, who are you and what do you do?
I'm Adam Handling. I'm just a chef. I do have a few restaurants as well, a couple of bars, pub. I suppose the word's restaurateur now, but I'm still behind the pass every day I'm in service. We have the Frog, Michelin-starred restaurant in London.
Yep.
Windsor site is the Lock in the Tyne, so it's my like kind of gastro pub, if you want to call it. Bedrooms, loads of gardens in the back where they grow everything. Ugly Butterfly, the one in Cornwall, hosted the G7. It's very sustainable. It's all about sustainable local luxury from the Cornwall borders. And we're at Eve Bar, which actually launches tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
And you're doing this with me?
Yes.
You madman.
It launches in an hour and a half.
Oh, God. Okay, so we better crack on then.
Oh, we'll be okay. I can go late.
Very good, very good. Right, well, I mean, let's just get to it then. Let's take us all the way back to the beginning. Obviously, you were representing Scotland at the Great British Menu. You can still hear that in your accent, as you can with mine. Which part of the world are you from up there?
Born in Dundee. Wasn't raised there, but born there. Military family, so travelled around quite a bit. Left when I was 4, came back when I was 15. Oh, came back when I was 14. Did 2 years in school there until I was 15, and then I started in Gleneagles Hotel as one of the first apprentice chefs.
Wow.
Yeah, nearly 20 years ago.
That's really...
Yeah.
That's not a bad place to get your wings, though, is it?
No, that was phenomenal. To be fair, I wish I had a romantic story to tell you about how I got in this industry, but it's not. I wasn't an academic. I wasn't one to be in school, probably like quite a lot of the industry, I would say. And my mother's very strict on universities free in Scotland, so take advantage of the system, get a qualifications, get your masters or whatever you call them, and do something with your life. Get out, enjoy it. That's not for me. So I broke my mum down day by day. Mum, I don't want to go to university. It's not for me. I don't want to stay on and get my hires and all that stuff. She's like, okay, get an apprenticeship. Do whatever the hell you want. Literally whatever you want. As long as it's a good place, it'll work well on your CV and you can still get your qualifications. So, okay, perfect. The first thing that crossed my school was looking for apprentice chefs in Gleneagles. I told my dad and he's like, don't tell your mum. This will be our little secret. Apply for it. I'll take you for your interviews. And if you get it, well, you can tell her. If you don't, it's our secret. No one needs to know. And I remember that first day like it was yesterday.
Really?
I wore my dad's suit, and I was a runty kid, skinny little beanpole when I was about that age. And I walked up to Gleneagles through the doors. I didn't know people lived like that. I'd never been to Gleneagles before. All I knew was when I did my research, it's a nice big building.
Yeah.
But when you walk in there and the
Pretty
people,
decent hotel.
oh, it's stunning, absolutely stunning. And anyway, I walked in there dressed in my father's suit, and the woman peered over the desk to be, "You're here for the apprenticeship program, aren't you?" I was like, "Yep, I am." Pointed to the ballroom, which was just on the right hand side, and excessive doors, floor to ceiling, really high doors. I open it up. And I walk down this, and I stand there, and to walk down the stairs, 3 desks in this huge, stunning room. And as soon as I start walking down, the HR director comes up to me and goes, "Hi, I forgot her name actually." And I said, "I'm Adam," and I shook her hand, and it was the most pathetic excuse of a handshake because I was so nervous. I hooked onto her fingertips and just waggled it.
A little wet one.
It was pathetic.
Yeah.
Now I always make sure my handshakes are pretty good, but. Yeah, I remember the first day of the rest of my life, to be fair.
Were you immediately hooked by it?
No, not really. When I was immediately hooked by the lifestyle. I'd never experienced that. My family are nowhere near that sort of people at all. And when I was exposed to food properly, because military family, food was about nutrition. It was about staying alive tomorrow. It wasn't about experience. It wasn't about getting around the table. Or I never went to restaurants when I was younger.
Right.
Never. It was nothing was romantic about food. It was you eat to survive.
Right.
Not in a real, we didn't live in a cave.
No,
but
no.
it's a military family. That isn't the focus when it comes to family time. It's being with the family. So it wasn't until maybe about 6 to 9 months in where I then fell in love with it. The first part, I got shouted at every second day. I was making teas and coffees, peeling vegetables, doing all the stuff that, you work your way up. And I very much did that. And it wasn't
lots of mistakes, probably, at that time.
I make mistakes all the time, even now in my career. But the thing is, you learn what you did wrong not to do it again. But this world is all full of different corners. And you'll always, even if it's the smallest little teeny weeny thing, everyone every day will make a single mistake in their life. It's how they get out of it, never make it again, be a better person, be a stronger chef, be a better leader. So I'm all for people making mistakes, just don't repeat them.
Yep.
And it wasn't until my chef, Rodney Graham, he was the exec sous, big Irish guy, scary as hell, asked me to help him make his duck liver parfaits and with him. And I was like, oh, boom, he's the only one that's allowed to make that there. I was in the Strathern at this point, so the massive restaurant. And he's blitzing all of his stuff up and he's tasting it. And I'm getting excited and I'm learning stuff. I'm like, this is nuts. I see the end product. I don't see the start, the middle, and the end.
Yeah.
How the hell are you making this awesome little slice of parfait? Or even the simplest thing is like, I hated mushrooms. Making duxelle, because every Saturday was Wellington on the trolley in the Strathern. And it was just the journey of 3-4 days it takes to make a welly, and every single thing being perfect, chopping your mushrooms, roasting them all off in garlic and thyme, shallots, Madeira, and then hanging them so they dry out even more, mixing them with the chicken mousse, all the proper way to do everything. And it was everything that I'm tasting. I was being like, I never used to like that before. Now I bloody love it. And it was that inspiration and that excitement to learn more, be hungry in the literal sense as well as the brain sense, to learn why the hell am I liking things now and not then. And that inspiration, that dangerous door, I went in head first.
Right, got you. And now your palate is beginning to open as well. Probably if you've had a restricted palate in the past, it's such a massive thing, right? Especially as a young man. I've spoken about this on this podcast before. I was exactly the same. I'm not a chef, but I until I went traveling, that was the moment where my palate started to open up, because I just woke up one day and said, "Look at all this amazing stuff that you're just bypassing for steak and chips."
Oh yeah, for sure. I think whenever you're introduced to something new, something you haven't seen before, but one of the big main taste sensations, sweet, salty, savory, bitter, umami, it kind of jolts something to be like, you get like a little electric shock, but on your tongue. Like, what the hell is this? How have I not experienced this before? Yeah. And then your little brain starts ticking to be like, let's dive in a little deeper. And then that's the only way anyone progresses. I'm all for traveling. I traveled as well, and I thought it was perhaps the journey into my sustainability angle was when I went traveling.
Right, got you. Okay, well, I'm sure we'll get into that as well. So, making ground at Gleneagles, what happened next?
I was there 3 years, and then I came down to London like any, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed young chef wanting to conquer the most hardest city in the country. And
what year are we in now? We're probably about 2000 and early 2000s, is it?
Yeah, probably something like that. I can't really remember.
So the food scene here was beginning to maneuver big time.
For sure. But, I was a chef that, followed the Gordon Ramsays, the Tom Aikens, the Gary Rhodes kind of era of chefs, Marcus Waring, all of them ones. And I thought, you know what? I've saved up for 3 years. Now because I had 2 jobs. I worked somewhere else because I worked Monday to Friday my first year, so I had 2 days off, Saturday, Sunday, and I worked somewhere else. And then on my other days, I didn't work. I worked weekends, but my other 2 days I worked somewhere else as well. Just because my dream was, I'm completely hooked. I want a restaurant, so I need to save up because I'm not going to get my money from anyone else. So that's why I had it. But then I thought I want to go and target London, so I had a big pot of savings, and I went and just knocked on the doors, asked to do stages.
Right.
So I did them all over the place, and I hated every moment of it. I would be lying if
really
I said
inspirational.
because I didn't experience it before.
Right.
I had rented a place for 6 months down here, so I had to commit. And you go from Gleneagles, where I learned everything from there. You come down to London, and everything I learned went out the window.
Right.
You go to. I did Rhodes 24 for a month, and I loved it. That one was probably the more chilled one. And then I trialed in Hospital Road. That was a different kind of eye-opening, perhaps, way to do it. And then Tom Aikens' restaurant twice, because I loved that one so much. Because for him, he was my biggest inspiration. He's the only chef still today that can put a lot of components on a plate and they all work magically and make something really, really wonderful.
Right.
And I'd always been really excited, intrigued about his restaurant.
His book actually was one of the first, what I might classify as an elite cookbook.
Oh yes,
that I had in my house, and I always remember, like, I'd never seen such a thing of beauty, the photography around it, and just everything. And he was always a chef that I always wanted to go and try.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I wanted to work there, but I still remember on the second time I went there, I asked, "Can I stay here?" And he said, "I need not him, but his head chef at the time said I need more experience." Okay, perfect. So then I went to the grill in the Dorchester, and I did some days there when I was staging too, and I just really wanted to basically soak up as much as possible from a lot of different restaurants and take what I like, forget what I don't. Right. Don't let the things I don't like stay in my body. Push it out. There are certain ways that people run kitchens that isn't for me. And I don't do that way in my group. I'm a very positive person. Happy people create better food. Happy chefs, happy waiters, better customers.
Yeah.
That experience of positivity seeps out, and then it's infectious. Negativity is also infectious. So therefore, having a wide spread of restaurants that I had put my toe in, I realized what path I wanted to go down. So after my 6 months there, I actually had a phone call from one of the head chefs from Gleneagles to say, "I'm just moving to Newcastle. You looking for a job?" I was like, "Never been in Newcastle before. Why the hell not?" So, and I worked there for a long time. So I went to Malmaison in Newcastle back in the day when it was an awesome place, and I worked there 3 years. Bloody loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I worked my way up in 3 years to senior sous. And Stephen, who's still with me today, 15 years ago, is still with me, my chef of my Windsor site. So this is as soon as I become a senior chef, this is when I start to have people stay with me wherever I went.
Yeah.
And then there was a situation after Newcastle that made me leave, and it was I accidentally got my partner pregnant, which we were not planning. We were very young at that point in time. So we went back to Dundee. We went back there to be sensible, close to family. You know, I'm bringing a baby in the world, so do the honourable thing and look after your child. We went back to Dundee. I went to the Fairmont in St Andrews, beautiful hotel, loved it. And that's when I met Johnny, so 12 years. and he's now the proprietor of Windsor site.
And what level are you at this point at St Andrews?
So head chef.
You're head chef now.
Yeah. So I was the youngest head chef in all the Fairmont group. There was only two in the UK: the Savoy and this one. But I think I was the youngest head chef. I think I was 24 or 25. God, that's way too young to have that position. But I was hungry, and I was really, really hungry, and I just wanted to do the best I possibly could. So the people around me saw that. You know, we didn't cut corners. We didn't want to have an easy life. We created a dish. Let's create it. But by this point, I hadn't quite figured out my style. So it was a lot of everybody's that I'd been in contact with. There was a lot of let's learn from these amazing chefs, bring it back to your restaurants. It wasn't until later on in life where I got my own style, which the Frog is what it is now. So I was there 3 and a bit years, and then me and my daughter's mum separated because it wasn't healthy. Having a child, especially at a young age, is very dangerous. No one's equipped for it. Yeah. So we went our separate ways, and I decided to go traveling. You know, it was a lot for me, and she found somebody else. I went traveling, and that's where I really learned to calm the hell down.
Really?
Right. I was running so hard and so fast, and
sorry to interrupt you. Did the motivation to run hard and go at it, did that come from you, or do you feel like you had a series of mentors that kind of gave you this ethos, or do you think you've just always had it?
I've always had the drive to do the best I can, because I never like to come in second place.
Right.
Always. And that's not bad. That's not being arrogant. That's being hungry for a project, meaning anything that I put my mind to, I'll study the life out of it, and I will try and learn as much as I possibly can from it, so that I'm always the one that knows more than the next person. Since I was little, bear in mind, I got a huge family. Right. So I got 4 sisters, 2 brothers. Okay. In total. Yeah. So like it was always, and they're the smart ones. I take after my mum. I'm more with my hands. The rest, they're bloody smart. Right. So I'm surrounded by smart people, and it's just like, oh, God damn it. You know, they can all spell better than me when I was 3 years and 6 years older than them. Right. They can all do maths better than me back then as well. So I always felt that I wasn't the smartest in the room, and I knew that. That's why whenever I put my head to something, I have to learn everything, because I hate the feeling of being stupid. And, you know, it's a double-edged sword, because you put your heart and soul, mind, energy, and power into it, you learn a lot more. Especially nowadays, there's a lot of chefs nowadays. They don't read enough, they don't study enough, they don't do stages enough, they don't learn. They do their job, they go home, they party, and that wasn't for me. I didn't work the week to enjoy the weekend. I worked the week to study so hard and become the best. Then I had a second job on my days off. Right. Obviously, people nowadays are a little bit different to me, different then. But I was building a future, not building my weekend. Yeah. You know, I didn't care about going out on a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever, and then on Monday be like, oh, I'm so hungover, I'm so tired, I had a mental one on the weekend. Yeah. What the fuck? That's the first day back to work. You should be bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to learn. So my career, when I didn't have a childhood. Well, when I say childhood, I didn't have like a teenage, like, you know, because I started at 15, working like a nut job. Yeah, of course. Till I was like maybe 26, 27. Then I started to enjoy myself. But that was when I had the Frog. Right. So I'd already had my first group. I worked my socks off to achieve it. And that's when I decided to, you know, go out for dinner more, hang out with friends more, that sort of stuff. Yeah, and enjoy the fruits of your labour to this point, I guess. Of course. But you know what? I had Benoit Blin from Le Manoir, exec pastry chef extraordinaire, on the show. He was actually the last episode of last season. He spoke about exactly the same thing, about there's a lot of pursuit of fun. And that's fine. Like, I'm absolutely not berating fun at all, because I think it's a massive part of everyday life. But if you really want to achieve excellence, there's no shortcuts to it. You've got to devote your life to it, and you're kind of now another case in point. No, it's very true. Like, you know, I'm 35 very shortly. I have a restaurant group, number of restaurants. I own that company. I can do whatever the hell I want. I'm not going to, because I've got 200 staff under me that require guidance and security. Yeah. But I achieved that on my own. I don't have wealthy parents. I got investment, but I had to work my socks off for it. I had to prove that I was good enough to invest into. because investors invest in finance. They don't invest in people. People to a degree, but if you want to really grow your group, you need someone that'll think, okay, yeah, my ROI, my return on investment is X, Y, and Z. Sure, I'll give you some money to do it.
Yeah.
You don't get rich person saying, yeah, here's £1 million, knock yourself
Off you
out.
go.
I don't care if I get it back.
Yeah, still to find that person, to be honest.
Oh yeah, to be fair, me too.
Yeah.
I still want to grow. But no, it's all about dedicate your time to create your future. Don't dedicate your time, or don't work to dedicate your time to get loose and go crazy. Not until your foundations of your career are set. And I'm a massive advocate of that. You know, we have a staff restaurant below this where we are now. We have a staff restaurant, we have a staff dining room, we have this little chill out areas, we've got staff training offices. So if you want to learn a new skills, we just put our chefs through our WSET2s. Why does a chef need to have a sommelier qualification? Because they want to learn about it. They want a new skill. And it's all about our group funds all of that. We want chefs, front of house, bar team, all of them, even back office, to learn as much as they possibly can from this group. And then when their heads are that full of everything that we can give them, then go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that build your foundations as strong as you possibly can. Seep every bit of information, get every qualification you probably can, you can capably do, and then either progress in that company or leave that company. Don't fester in it because you're just standing still or stepping back.
Yep.
So for me, getting young chefs or young front of house or bartenders or sommeliers into the group and allowing them to be like, yeah, okay, I understand this might be a little bit like repetitive. Do you want to do one day here, one day there? Do you want to learn this new skill? You know what? All of yous, 3:00, we're all going to the gym. It's just around the corner from the Frog. Sure, let's do it. So you're pushing for this sort of stuff to happen. You know, there's a swimming pool there. So you can go do that during the day. I do a weird thing with lunch. We only do lunch 12 to 12:30. So 12, 12:15, 12:30, but we pack it all in. So we only do one sitting. And we do that so that everyone can make sure they get a nice big break in the middle of there, where they can go to the staff restaurant in the Frog and just eat whatever they want, whenever they want. It's always healthy stuff. We only allow fried stuff once a week. We always have breakfast, lunch, dinner there. They can go to the gym. There's so many different, healthy perks that we can do. We're around the park. We all go for runs. And people are like, oh, that's a lot of work. I just want to cook. You don't need to come and join us.
Yeah.
But we're encouraging. And if you're surrounded by like-minded people, you'll absorb that. One of the phrases that I heard and I always love is, show me your friends, I'll tell you how successful you're going to be.
Interesting. Yeah. Was that kind of speaks to that idea that you're a product of the 5 closest people to you or something like that, right?
100%. My three best friends work for me. Nicola, my exec director, who started off as operations coordinator but just has that vision. George, my restaurant director, who is me, front of house wise, who started off as restaurant manager, then went to GM, then assistant group GM, now restaurant manager, now restaurant director. And I think you surround yourself with like-minded, hungry people, you'll automatically become better. You surround yourself with people that are like, 3 days, and then I want to go out. We're going to hit this nightclub, do that, whatever. And then they come in hungover. You surround yourself with them. It's negative. It's self-destructive. It's completely pointless to benefit your career. You only get old when your body stops. You keep moving, you'll stay young. And I know it's like, oh yeah, whatever. I'm just a chef. I don't know that. But you keep moving, your body is constantly, it's like being in the gym all the time. Festering 3 days, sitting on your arse doing nothing, your mental health breaks down considerably.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all got to experience a bit of that in 2020 when...
That broke me.
Well, I stuck that on the list of stuff to talk to you about, and I'm sure maybe we should just talk about it now, because I know, especially for those of us who are kind of used to just being on and going at your goals and your visions and all of that sort of thing, when that hit in 2020, I was definitely one of the people who... That's why I started a podcast, to be honest, because I thought I can't sit here and just watch Netflix. Yeah. This is just a waste of life. Yeah. So what do we do? What do we do that's a bit different? Because I'm a recruiter by day. That's what I do. But so yeah, talk to me about that experience, because at this point in time, if I remember correctly, your trajectory was on the way up. Like your restaurant empire, for want of a better phrase, was growing.
It was big.
Yeah. And how did that What happened?
Well, I remember it like it was bloody yesterday. I knew when it all happened and no one really knew what was going on. I was getting worried, and I was seeing bookings in that final week just drop considerably, and I'm like, oh, the Frog can't really be doing that because it's a bloody expensive restaurant to be running. Yeah. And I'm seeing every restaurant drop it, and the Frog never has that problem. When the Frog starts to drop covers, I'm worried because that basically holds up the whole company. And the final day when Boris, was it Boris?
Yeah. It was. I know we've had so many, haven't we?
Yeah, no. When whoever was in charge says to stay away from restaurants. That was it. It wasn't to close. It was to stay away from restaurants.
Yeah, that was like a knife to the heart.
Yeah,
for me, I can't imagine what it must have been like for a restaurant.
I mean, more so because I knew that my insurance wouldn't be covered if my insurance will be covered if it get told to close, but not if people get told to stay away. So within that point, I was like, what the hell do we do? You know, like this is how much money we got in the bank account. We had 330 staff at that point. How are we gonna survive? Restaurants do not contain more than a month's, if that, cash flow, because they obviously every day they bring in more cash flow coming up. And I on the final day where it says close restaurants, I didn't know what to do. I felt so small. My staff were saying, "What's going to happen? What are we doing?" I'm like, from someone that likes to know all the answers and then reassure people. I didn't know. I locked myself in my disabled toilet, the one on the upstairs of the Frog, and I cried my eyes out. Really? Nicola said to me, "Mate, we have to fire everyone," and I'm like, "I know, because we can't do it." So we were told, obviously, lockdown was going to be told it was going to be on for a long time, and I think I had something like 4 point something million payroll at that point in time. Don't quote me on them numbers, but something really high like that. And she's like, yeah, we can't do it. So I, after locking myself in, not knowing what the hell I'm going to do, seeing that the bank's going to require loads of money back, and still had all these loans to pay off, and I put my sunglasses on, did a team meeting inside of for the Frog, and I just couldn't I couldn't stay normal. I just could not get my words out because I felt like I'd lost everything.
Right.
And I know it sounds, oh yeah, it's lockdown, everyone will be fine, whatever. There was no furlough discussed at this point in time.
Yeah, I remember that.
All it was, you're shut now for the next 3 months. That will cripple businesses considerably. And Nicola was like, and I was like, I can't do it. So I spoke to my team and I says, something will happen, but not yet, to the Frog team. We have enough to look after you guys. And then I'm like, we don't have enough to look after the rest.
Right.
So luckily I had the support of the Cadogan estate for my Chelsea sites. And they were like, we'll help with them. So perfect. Then it was the Hoxton site. So where I had Frog Hoxton, I had Bean and Wheat, and I had Iron Stag. And it's like, to Nicola, we have 50 staff there or thereabouts. Who can we save from this group? And we were crossing out names like they were no one.
Yeah.
And I felt, because people is my main reason why my business is successful, is because of the people I surround myself with. And when you're crossing off names, I felt like the devil. But it was either them or everybody. And then I had to call the main ones, Jamie, who was the exec chef of Hoxton, and say, you're all right, you're safe. He's been with me 11 years now. But I'm like, you're good. Just keep everyone in line. Doing all this. And then Nicola had to go around every restaurant and fire everyone who wasn't on that list. Everyone. She fired so many people. And then I went to, I remember, I was watching the news. I don't know why I'm laughing because it was so emotional. And I went to a bar around the corner and I just sat having a beer, watching the news, because it's the only way I would learn information. There's no one was saying anything.
It was almost like a watch party every 5 o'clock or something when they do the daily announcement or whatever it was. Yeah. It was such a, I mean, I don't really want to use this word, but it was such a compelling time to just be zoned in on something which effectively was dictating every single one of our lives. Beyond the health element, all the economic element that came with closing down businesses, basically. And I thought at the time, initially as a business owner, please don't judge me on this, I was actually quite excited by the prospect of, that was my first reaction, was I'd just come back from holiday, so I was fresh, and they said, we're going to shut everything down. And my initial response was, oh, I've never experienced this before. A new challenge to figure out. And that lasted about 24 hours, if that, before I realised the magnitude of what I was actually contemplating.
Yeah.
The fact that I hadn't checked in with family and friends, and how are, all of these people in different industries and sectors around the world, how are they all being affected by this? Notwithstanding the health scare at the time. Yeah. Just a mental old time.
Oh, it was. And when furlough then came out, which was great, we then managed to tell everybody, because we hadn't done the official paperwork, because if we had fired them, they wouldn't have been able to be on there. So we hadn't done the official paperwork. We had just said that, realistically, you're not going to be lasting. We can't sustain everybody. But then the week later, furlough came out. So everyone was still on the payroll. Everyone was fine, apart from the staff that started with us within that 3 months.
Yeah.
Because they had that silly little rule
I know.
that if they had been with us a short period of time, they're on their own,
Yeah.
which I don't really like.
No.
Employed should be looked after.
I completely agree.
But I don't get involved in politics at all, because they know how to do it better than me. I know how to make a sauce better than them. And I keep it that way.
That's a fair comment.
I keep it that way, and I don't get involved with politics at all. It was just very personal, and it hurt me a lot. Because whatever decision the government made, it would annoy someone. There was no right answer. There was no wrong answer. It would affect someone along the lines in this country. So whoever was making all them decisions, I wouldn't want to be it.
Mm.
But, what looking back after COVID, the UK did do the best in probably most countries. You go and look at America, you look at these other countries, you look at Asia. They got way less than what we did. We were actually very, very well looked after. It was just that scary week or two at the beginning that just freaked everyone out.
Question marks, yeah.
So no, I'm very happy that what the government did to support restaurants. But every speed bump in your life allows you to adapt. If you don't adapt, you will never move forward. You will never progress. So we took this opportunity to make sure that, because I got rid of my house, we had the money. Don't let anyone go. So we kept everybody. No one got crossed off that list, and we put them all on furlough. We were able to fund the rest of it. We kept only a small amount of people on to do HAME, our home delivery service, and that's when it went nuts. So we were the first people to do QR codes. We did not a box, we did restaurant box. You pick your food, we'll do dish by dish. And we did all that where you cook along with me, watch it all, and then we went nuts.
Did that idea come from you?
Yeah, we were the first.
And so this was, I suppose, a business born out of necessity, for one, but also this is coming back to your character about that you can't sit on your hands. You can't just be waiting for something to happen. You've got to go and make something happen.
100%. Yeah, for sure. And we were the first to do that. And I remember Twitter. Twitter's a horrible little tool. And it's always used for negativity.
Agreed.
Rather than positivity. And there was a group of chefs saying, why am I doing this? Or I'm selling my aprons or my sparkling wine. I'm selling everything I possibly can. I got bills to pay. I will literally sell my sofa if I could. I needed to make as much money as possible to look after these staff. And, saying that people only want fish and chips at home and that sort of stuff. Why are we doing this? And they
disagree more.
They made so much fuss about a QR code watching me and me being pompous and arrogant and that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden, I go from doing one capped at 5,000 orders a week. And we were making £145,000 a day. We smashed lockdown. But that was because it was born out of necessity.
Yeah. You're
turning over that tax-free because it's food that they have to warm up at home. I was able to draw down so much debt. So our seesaw changed, and the balance of profit wasn't profit. You were still in negative. But your balance above negative over of what was required went the other way. So then the administrators were like, perfect. This is your CVA. This is your terms for the next 3-4 years. We see a viable business there. Keep it up, and you can keep your company. It doesn't get removed from me. And that's what we did. We fought hard and really hard. Really, you have no idea how hard it was. But I did that because I had people to protect. Yeah. I did care about my restaurants for sure, but the people inside of them I cared about more than the building.
Yeah.
I can open a restaurant somewhere else after lockdown. There's no doubt about it. I'm hungry and I will open a restaurant. Be it if it was like my first one in East London in a car park, or like Covent Garden, a grand as hell thing. But I would have had another restaurant later on down the line. But what I wouldn't have been able to do is to support the people that had families. still had rent to pay, that didn't have the connections I had to be able to do these ones. I had to protect them. They dedicated loads of their life to me. The best thing I can do is look after them when they needed help.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what is my group's all about. And that's why I don't have to hire people. My restaurant group's full. I am about to hire a sous chef for the first time in years for the Frog, because summer's coming up and I'm about to go down to my Ugly Butterfly. So it's just added support for Cleverson. But we don't hire senior chefs. We promote within. We don't hire restaurant managers. We promote within. We only open restaurants when the next position is ready to take a stand up so I don't lose them. It's the only reason why I open restaurants.
Right.
Because trust me, they're the most stressful bloody thing in the world.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about this. Hey everyone, so I just wanted to take a quick moment of your time to say that this podcast wouldn't be possible without the incredible people and brands that support it. And I'm proud to partner with RotaCloud, the people management app for hospitality teams. With thousands of customers worldwide, RotaCloud's simple, web-based tools are already helping businesses like yours save time and money every single day. It makes planning and sharing rotas easy with work schedules sent straight to employees' phones and staff automatically notified if there's a change to their shifts. It also makes managing annual leave a breeze with staff requesting time off directly through the RotaCloud mobile app. All you need to do is click approve or deny and RotaCloud will take care of the rest. But don't just take my word for it. Visit rotacloud.com/Phil to try RotaCloud free for 30 days and see for yourself how much easier managing your team can be. Now, let's get back to the conversation.
Sure. Yeah. But, the team is very important. Surround yourself with great people. They'll make you become better.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with like-minded friends. They'll push you to do great things.
But then equally, then you find yourself in a situation like that. And your mindset is around, I have to protect these people.
For sure. That was all I cared about.
Yeah, and then it comes back to something that we've talked about for years and years and years around in hospitality, is that there's no hospitality without people, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, you have a beautiful restaurant just around the corner from where we are, but that beautiful building would be soulless and horrible if it were it not for the experience that you give, 100%. Which comes through your people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, COVID happened.
Yep.
Let's park that. I think there's a lot of learning in there for sure. And actually, one of the things that I take, just listening to you talk about it, is that here's a guy who started out as an apprentice chef at the age of 15. But the way you were talking about business there, you're clearly good at business. Is
I am now.
Right, yeah, well, here we are.
I wasn't then.
There's the question. Where did that come from? Has that just come from that, again, that internal fire to
learn,
understand as much as you can about your craft?
Yeah. But from being a head chef, you learn how to control the food cost, perhaps operational cost to a degree, wage cost. But you don't understand how to run a business. There's way more things than that are way over your head. But then when you have your own restaurant, you've got to learn all that. Yeah. So Google was my teacher.
Right. Google, as simple as, well, not as simple.
Yeah, simple as that. Google was my teacher. I didn't have a friend in the business that was a restaurateur that had that sort of stuff. So I would, I'll be learning all this stuff. I'll be doing it. I'll be adapt. You modify, you adapt, you change directions, you try and learn a new skill. Business was my new skill when I opened the first Frog. But, stepping back onto COVID, it was actually the best thing to ever happen to me.
Right.
It was horrible at the time, but now looking back, the best thing to ever happen to me. I thought I was indestructible. We were opening restaurants left, right, and centre, and we were hammering, racking up debt, but it was manageable debt, and becoming everywhere. Losing them means I could be broken. I wasn't indestructible, and then it brought me back down to reality. Right. It made me change my idea of what my business model was going to be. Restaurant a year or 2 restaurants a year, down to bring it back, pay off the next one, then open one.
Right.
You concentrate on your controlling debt. Open restaurants on cash flow rather than banks or more investment and that sort of stuff. And it made me think that I could be knocked down just as fast as I build a restaurant. And I never want to do that again. So I only open businesses now when the company is stable enough to afford that business to go down.
Got you. And of course you would have learned the lesson about dividing and conquering, as it were, in terms of you don't now have, you've got individual businesses. So if one goes, then
Yeah, so we have Adam Hanning Limited, which is the restaurant group holding company, and then every single restaurant or bar we have under it is a different company attached to it, so that if one did perhaps need to be cut off, you could chop that leg off, and the rest of the group will survive. But I've helped a lot of people that I'm not associated to with restaurants or products or things like that. I bring on my skills to them and let them grow their businesses. So I've got fingers in lots of little pies that help me and that help a nice stream of revenue come through to support my group. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a conversation with Tom Brown of Cornerstone recently, who told me that, his restaurant wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Nathan basically underwriting his debt, not paying his debt, but just being the guarantor in the event that anything goes south. Sounds like you're doing a similar thing in the sense that you're supporting people who want to
other restaurants now, but our group is that structured and that well oiled, and Great British Menu helps bring covers in, which fundamentally generate revenue. That it allows me the opportunity to do some protection of my friends' restaurants that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do not have my name associated to anything that they do.
Right. Got you. It's all them. Very good. Well, nice segue to Great British Menu. Because we've kind of taken us up to present day, as it were. I'm just going to say, Great British Menu for me is the greatest thing on television. I'm such a foodie fan, but love to see the creativity that comes against the briefs. I don't really care what the brief is. I just love the creativity that goes through you guys' minds to come up with menus. So, talk to me. Was this a conscious decision by you? I want to go and do this because you had unfinished business with this competition from years ago, if that's correct.
That's correct. Yeah, I did Great British Menu, I think maybe 8 years ago or something like that, when I first came to London. And I was too young for that competition.
Really?
I was too young for it in terms of I still didn't find my own way of cooking. I still didn't find myself in my dishes. Great experience. I did really well. I was up against some phenomenal chefs, and I did super well back then. I was the youngest person in the competition at that year. And then when I went back on it last year, I obviously that is me. I'm perfectly comfortable in my own skin now. My food style is exactly the same is what it will be going forward. And I was just up against Spencer, who was a phenomenal chef who dominated that competition that year, which was great. That brought me back to this year. I was hungry.
Well,
I was so hungry. Because
do you know what goes through in my head is like, it must have been devastating to be that close in that year with Spencer. And, granted, Spencer's an exceptional talent.
He is.
No question. No dishonour in, finishing second to him at all. Yeah. Was it because of that? Was it because you came so close? Because you weren't distantly eighth in every single dish, but you were so close. Yeah. Was it you just thought, right, I
tasted it.
I've got it.
Tip of my tongue, I tasted that victory. And I wanted to taste it properly. And that's what spurred me on to the following year. But this was going to be my last year. Because when the heats come out this year to do it again, I'm not actually going to be in London. So I won't be able to do the competition again this year.
Right.
So I had to go in all bells, whistles, swinging, kicking, and really cook my socks off. So I practiced Great British Menu every day for like 4 or 5 months, constantly practicing, but also learning how the dishes will fail, getting out of that situation, how to simplify it but still make it complex, how to make sure that everything tastes incredible, and how to make a dish that represents me.
Yeah.
If another chef beats me because their dish was phenomenal and I never made a mistake, I'll be over the moon. But if somebody beat me because I messed up on my dish, I hate myself.
Right.
Because I shouldn't have made that mistake. I've been doing this job for so long now. I've practiced these dishes. If I make a mistake, that's on me. And I am my biggest, worst critic. I hate failing myself because I should be like, oh, come on, I'm better than that. I knew how to fix that. I knew how to change it. Why did I do that mistake? I'm careless. I'm silly. And I beat myself up. Well, luckily this year I did pretty good.
You did all right. Yeah.
I did everything of how I wanted to do it, and just the dishes that just pipped mine, they were just great. They were phenomenal. They beat me on phenomenal dishes.
Yeah.
And that I was happy with. I went away from that competition thinking, Every day I went away from that competition thinking, you know what, I'm going to sleep well tonight. Didn't win it. Third. Didn't win my starter, but I cooked that dish and it was wonderful. Second on the fish course. That one hurt a little because I came second last year as well. Right. And I thought, damn it.
Here we go again.
Here we go. It's going to be this. It's going to be this again.
Yeah.
But, I said, you know what? My dish tasted nice. I cooked it how I wanted to. I can sleep well.
Yeah.
Main came in. I'm like, please don't get the main. Please don't get the main, because my main was so complicated.
Yeah, yeah.
And I cooked it exactly how I wanted it. And I was so happy about it. But I didn't get it. I was okay with that. I was actually genuinely really okay with that. My dessert comes in and I really love this dessert. And then I won it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, fuck. Oof, that was lucky.
What was it like in the chamber? Because watching this program, and Tom obviously with his Banana Man thing, which was epic as well.
Yeah.
Were you thinking, what was going through your head at that moment?
So going into dessert with a three-way tie of all perfect 40s, Nick's dish was phenomenal, yummy and chocolatey, looked incredible. Tom's dish was incredible, super banana-y, looked very sexy and cute. And my dish was a little rough around the edges because it's a food fight, so it's not going to look as clean cut as them. But I put so much work into the flavor of nostalgia and adult, because I was creating all of my dishes for children because it's animation. So I wanted to make it very chilled out, but just really quite simple looking and just big and just like adult flavors perhaps. And then when there's a three-way tie, I'm like, oh, God damn it. God damn it. I'm there. And you think the worst always when you're standing in that room, your heart's in your throat, your balls are inside your body, you don't know if you're going to throw up or shit yourself, and you're just really, really nervous. You're like, oh, but you don't want to show any face of being like nervous because you're on camera and then everyone's just going to go on Twitter and just give you a load of hassle. And then I got it. And then I had so many people attack me on Twitter saying, sympathy vote, I got that. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. You, whatever.
Do what you do.
Do whatever, whatever. So I was like, okay. And then the banquet. I did the dish exactly the same as I did. I cooked it the same way. Everything worked out perfectly. And then Champion of Champions.
Yeah.
I was a bit like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then all the people that would be like, oh yeah, it was a sympathy vote. They're like, okay, fair enough. He won overall the whole competition. It's about like, why do people that don't even know you need to keep being so mean?
Yeah.
It's a TV show, for goodness sake.
What is the point of negativity in a situation like that, right?
I know.
Ultimately, if people were fans of the show, they would have seen that across 3 different years, you've put your heart and soul into everything. Yeah. Just came up short last year. I'm sorry to keep saying that, by the way.
Yeah, that makes me stronger.
But then I'm not. Look, this is the reaction in my house. My missus is a foodie, but not to the same level as me. She watches the Great British Menu on and off, but loves the banquet episode, by the way, because she loves the logistics around how to make it happen. I was stood on my feet in my lounge watching that show with you 3 lined up for the dessert. And the thing that went off in my head is that Andy Oliver did a little thing to camera to say, after she tasted your dessert, that is the best dessert that I've ever had in my life, or something like that. It was words like that. Yeah. And when it went to her as the vote, I thought, I've never met you. To this point, up until then, I had never met you. I didn't really know anything about you other than what I can see in the public domain. And I thought to myself, he's got it. I was your biggest fan in that moment. It was like, this is going to go his way. And then she went, Adam. I was like, I nearly fell to the floor. I nearly started crying.
Me too.
Yeah, and I just think to myself, calm down, Phil. You're a 45-year-old man. Get a hold of yourself. But I felt that you had poured your heart and soul into that competition from the word go. And that if anybody deserved a dish there, it was you, for sure.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Without question.
Yeah, I did put my heart and soul into it, for sure.
Just think about it this way. You weren't that far away from having 4 dishes at the banquet this year.
I could not have done my main. My main was my favorite dish to eat if it was like 4 people or to cook as well. But to do it for like 60, 70, 80 or whatever the banquet number was, I would have not succeeded at all. And the guests at the banquet wouldn't have had the same experience. Yeah. It was 18 components. It was way too much. But I wanted to do a main where I showcase, and go nuts. Perhaps not the smartest idea for the realistic one, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you were never going to be a cow pie, were you, at the end of the day?
Cow pie, the dandy. I'm from Dundee. Massive statue of the dandy
Classic.
there. Even I voted for that. It was great.
Wicked. So I have to say, actually, food fight, just to talk about the dish, because how the hell, I mean, this is practice, right? Practice and knowledge and understanding of food and all of that. But I said this to my wife while watching it. How can you make something look like a food fight, but also look incredibly elegant at the same time?
Yeah, it's a hard thing for consistency, that's for sure. But I drew out on the plates exactly how I wanted everything to be, and then I literally practiced that on greaseproof paper all the time, so I couldn't keep using the props, just to make sure that everything was the same. And then I created, because we have a test kitchen in the bottom of the Frog that we do all of it in, and I filled the table full of these greaseproof papers, full of making sure that they all look the same. When I was practicing it. Yeah. Because if I do 4 food fights and they all look different, consistency-wise, it's just not going to do the same effect. I had practiced exactly where I wanted every component to go.
Yeah. So here we are. I mean, that's just practice makes perfect, right? Yeah. Want of a better cliche. Yeah. But but it is true. It's what the Gary Player says, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Well, the more skills you get.
Yeah.
I don't believe in luck.
Very good.
Yeah, luck is a word people chuck around because they're not willing to put the work in. So I believe that you work your socks off, you master that skill. People may think you're lucky. You're just better than them because you worked harder than them.
Yeah,
it's not luck.
Absolutely. Excellent. Okay, so you've got other TV work going on now as well, and this is actually something that I had never heard of until I saw it on your Instagram feed. So talk to us about Top Chef World All Stars.
Oh yeah, so Top Chef originated in, I think, USA, to be fair. Top Chef USA, it's probably one of the biggest food competitions that they have out there, and it's really, really cool. So I'm a great ambassador. I represent the UK for its food around the world in different embassies when they're showcasing something, and it was actually that office that contacted my team to say, would I want to be a judge on this show? I was like, that would be awesome. So I rocked up on the first day. There was Angela Hartnett, myself, Brett Graham, the actual original American judges on there as well. And we're doing the first opening one where you showcase all of this. It's 10 years of Top Chef, and it was 10 winners or finalists around the world. It's in lots of different countries. Cook, and they hosted it in the UK. And it was so much fun. Right. It was really, really so much fun. American shows, they go out.
They don't leave anything on the table, do they?
Everything's big, everything's loud, everything's bang, it's actually quite wonderful to see. And then they got me back to host a round, and I've never been so nervous in my life.
Really?
They gave me a script and everything, and I'm like, oh, I don't really do well with scripts. Can I just say it how it is? They were like, no, follow the script. I was like, oh, they said I can go off piece slightly, but really follow the script. So I've got an earpiece in, and I'm getting all nervous, and I'm bumbling my words, and I'm doing it again, and all of the 10 contestants are just looking at me, and I'm like, God damn it, am I making myself look stupid? But it's all in my head. It worked out well. It was all in my head. I had a great time, and I'm just really privileged that I was able to be a part of that show.
Yeah, so that came about through being a great ambassador.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I've always wanted to be a flag shaker for the UK. I think that the British food scene is becoming the most exciting food scene in the world. And I mean that because it's very young. The UK, Queen Victoria's time, the sun never set on her throne. She owned everywhere the sun would go round. There was a part that she would own. So therefore the UK was extremely powerful. It was very wealthy. It would just buy everything in. You wanted strawberries at one stupid time, pineapples, bananas, right. French chefs, whatever. The UK was powerful. It bought everything in. And doing so, double-edged sword. British people got lazy. They didn't understand the value of utilization of a whole product, or even create what British food is. So that everything was French. Moving forward, I want to get rid of the French out of this country. Not the people, not the food.
No, that's a bit harsh, Adam.
No, listen, I love French food. I love all of them. But I want Britain to... some of my favourite restaurants in this country are French. But that's not what I'm meaning. I'm meaning that I want Britain to stand up on its own 2 feet to British restaurants. To be like, this is what British food is nowadays. So anywhere I can go around the world and I work in an embassy or a governor's house or a diplomats for diplomats around the world to do something and showcase what Britain does, I want to show them what British food is there. Because we are only known for what? Fish and chips? roast beef.
Yeah, pie.
A pie. Don't get me wrong, I love all three.
Yeah,
but
same.
the UK has so much more to offer. The ingredients that we have are incredible. There is no rule book of what British is in terms of like Larousse Gastronomique about what food is, but it's French. And the foundations are foundations. In any country, the same principle is there. So that we can never change. The execution, the middle and the execution, we can change to what British is. And I want to raise the UK up on that platform to be like, that's awesome. When someone comes to the UK, I want British food. Not I want Italian food, Spanish food, the best food, Japanese food, Chinese, French, none of that. I want foreign people to come to the UK and go, I want British food. Yeah. I want to go to a British fine dining restaurant. I hate the word fine dining as well, but that's the only way that you can showcase what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And it's a huge honor for me to do that. So I did all that for so many years, and then I got an email to say, would I like to be officially a great ambassador? And I have to admit, that's the best thing I've ever achieved in my life. Because really? I am a proud British person. I'm so proud to be British. I think what we do here is phenomenal. And when they say, could I actually be part of this official program? I was like, yeah. Lewis Hamilton is it for racing. You know, there's, nice. For example, you know, like I can go on to so many different, you know, really awesome people who are the best of their game. And then you've got little me getting asked, would I like to do it for food? Along with, you know, Angela Hartnett is as well, Claire Smith is too, and me. It's a bit bonkers. It's absolutely nuts how I'm in this league of people that are way better than I am at their field, because that's why they're on the program, to represent the UK around the world. And it's so humbling, and it's one step closer to raising that flag to be like, I'm going to a British restaurant.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I love the concept, though, of just being a flag waver. Like, I mean, you know, that's, if we care about something, right, it's kind of all of our responsibility to do a bit of flag waving.
For sure.
Keep everyone elevated.
You'll
give everybody, if somebody's doing good work, tell them they're doing good work.
Yep.
Whether they're in your business or not, you know, and so I really love that. And I completely agree with you. And I know way less about the food industry than you do. But, you know, we have incredible produce around the UK.
Some of the best.
Incredible skill around the UK.
Yep.
And I feel like that's only getting better and better and better as everybody kind of collaborates a bit more on doing things well and doing things better.
Oh, for sure. For instance, you mentioned Tom Brown that was on your show. The guy's smashing out incredible food. What cuisine would you say it was? I'd say it was British. He's flying that British flag in a seafood kind of way. And you take inspiration from all around the world, based in London because it's such a multicultural city. But, you know, everything that he's putting on his plate is predominantly British, and he's doing that. But would you label that as a British restaurant?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
These are the sort of things where I'd label it as a British restaurant, and I want people to be like, you know, not instead of I want to go to Cornerstone or I want to go to all these wonderful restaurants out there, I want to go to a British restaurant. I want that flag to be great, because Tom's food's absolutely phenomenal. The guy is great when it comes to fish work, and it's super tasty. But I would class that as a British restaurant. Just as the Frog, I'd class the Frog as a British restaurant, as lots of different places I would class.
But what I love about the Frog, one of the things I love about the Frog, is on the front, the menu, you have a little map of the UK with kind of where everything that you see on this menu, here's kind of the dots around the UK as to where they come from. That's really a lovely little attention to detail, which brings a visual experience to the whole thing. Inspiration, education, motivation. These are the ethoses that we do within our group, because you want to be able to do all three to create that wonderful plate of food, but you want to educate without educating. You want it to be subtly in there, to be like, oh, wow, that's awesome. That comes from here, that comes from there. This country is actually is doing some pretty good stuff. You know, we export like 70% of our seafood outside the UK. A lot of phenomenal restaurants in this country don't get British seafood because it goes outside the UK. Like langoustines, lobsters, scallops, you know, the shellfish is nuts. And it's a bit like crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. You know, it's bonkers, but I suppose it's easier for them, for them industries to just box lorries up, send it away, rather than putting it all around the UK. Yeah. Which I'm not really a fan of. I think we should definitely use more of what we have in this group, in this country, in our restaurants. But business is business for them people. But as you've already highlighted, it's not about doing what's easy, is it? I know. It's about doing what's right. Yeah. Sorry, I've overused that in this podcast, but I do believe in it. The harder path is usually the right path to take. You shouldn't run towards the easy solution.
For sure.
A bit of philosophy. Anyway, books.
Yeah,
you're doing. I mean, God, I mentioned earlier on that I'm a fan of elite cookbooks, as I classify them as that. Is it kind of a natural progression to do that, or is it something you always had in you that you wanted to kind of showcase your food to a wider audience that way?
I think when I now that I'm comfortable with my own ability and my style, you tend to see a lot more people doing dishes that you do. For instance, chicken butter. Man, I've been making chicken butter for like the last 12 years. Now I see it on loads of menus. Do I get annoyed? I did at the time, many years ago, because I wasn't confident. Now I'm like, yeah, I love it. So I thought, you know what? You cannot create the wheel. We take inspiration from everybody. I take it from chefs. Chefs take it from me. It's just a circle of life when it comes to creating menus. The more that you evolutionize and go forward, the more people get inspired by you that want to do it, just as I did when I started out in my career. So I thought, let's do a tell-all cookbook. Every recipe the frog's ever done, or pretty much most of them, let's put the correct recipe inside. And I thought, let's do it. So I created a book that way. And then my book just got bigger and bigger because I wanted to do the waste of that book. What can you do? The educational part, the game, the foraging, the aspect of seafood that you would normally throw away. I wanted to create. I added all that. Next thing I know, this book was like 1,000 pages. It was completely silly to do. 8 kilos, 1,000 pages. I had to split it in 3. So I split it in 3 where you can get the frog cookbook with all the big, the pretty, the beautiful, the showpiece of what my food's all about. Then you can get a why waste book, which is actually pretty sexy now that it's on its own. It's about only eating from the UK. What you would forage, what you would find, eating game. We have to eat more game in this country. Wild venison, since lockdown in particular, has gone off the chart because nobody's been eating it. So they've just been out, mating and having more little babies, and they've just expanded and they went nuts. But for biodiversity of a forest, you must control a venison population. They thrive on sprouting trees and sprouting plants. That's what they eat. They get very excited about it. And then they go into crops and start munching all of that as well. So they need to be controlled. Now, if you're going to control them and you're going to cull them, bloody eat them.
Yeah.
I'm all for like farmed venison estate venison, things like that, because it's going to be great as well. But I feel like we must be eating more wild meat to basically, instead of just shooting it, killing it, burning it, you can eat it.
That's just incredibly wasteful, isn't it?
Massively. Deerbox, check out that company. They do it incredibly well, and they'll send their deer all over the UK. They cull them, they prep them, they cut them into their different joints, then they freeze them, and it's perfectly acceptable to freeze this sort of stuff to get it transported to you. It's how you cook at the other end of the line. So what they're doing, and classes like Mike Robson, the wild farmer, is what he classes, what is good to class him as, is great. He's a pioneer in that sort of sustainable farming, because he's not farming, he's controlling.
Right.
We need to eat it. And then I created Perfect 3 Cherries, my cocktail interpretation. We got Eve Bar in the group, and cocktail bar was always something I want to build. So I wrote a book, how me being a chef wants to learn about cocktails that I would have wanted to have many, many, many years ago before I created my cocktail bar. Right. And all I've learned, all I've made mistakes, and how it is the way it is now. So the 3 books together are what I would have wanted back then to showcase British food. So I wrote the book.
Right.
Took bloody ages.
And why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hell of a career so far. You're only 35.
Yeah.
I feel like you've done more than most do in their entire career.
There isn't I work every single day of the week. Very rarely do I go out. Most people have never met me, but they seem to know all about me. Right. Even if it's some Chinese whispers going from somewhere or whatever. But I don't hang out with people that aren't in my close circle at all. And rumors spread like wildfire. Chinese whispers go absolutely nuts. Most have never met me. Most never will. So I keep myself very close, and I work super hard, and I very rarely go out because I concentrate on my career. Even now, my foundations of my group are not 100% secure because you never know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
And also expansion, all that kind of things. So I work all the time, but I love it. So it's not really work for me. I genuinely love what I do.
Well, and that absolutely comes across in the quality of your work, in everything that I've seen you touch. And I, haven't met you until today, but it's been very interesting to learn your journey so far. What's next? Is there anything you can tell us next?
Can't tell you anything next, but there's some exciting things happening.
I'll take that. That will do. That's great. I don't doubt it as well. You're obviously not a guy who just rests on what you have. You'll always be looking for...
I've got the team that's ready to take over a new exciting project. I just need to allow the time to tell what's going on when.
Yeah, fantastic. Final question before I let you get on your merry way. What 3 reasons would you give to somebody who's listening to this at the moment to come and work in hospitality?
3 reasons in words?
Feel free to not restrict it to 3. I mean, just go wax lyrical.
Why would I tell people to get in this industry? Because it's home. Hospitality is hospitality. Coming into this industry, you find a home, you find a place. You can tailor your skills to exactly what you want to learn. You're not restricted to an accountant where all you're doing is numbers, or tech when you're only doing that. You can there's a plethora of different avenues to go down in hospitality, and it doesn't mean when you start as a chef you're dead. You're only a chef. You can chop and change to whatever you want in this industry. You want to go down marketing, you want to go down PR, you want to go down sommelier, you want to do bar, you want to do all that. There is no rules of which pathway you have to stay down, so you can always do it. So for me, hospitality is home for any little lost soul like myself or anyone, or even if you just really want to get creative. It's the most creative thing in the world, but also it's the passport to the world. Food and drink, we all do. We don't need to learn how to speak different languages. Food and drink does that for us. So it allows you to travel the world and cook and meet some wonderful people. And okay, you go to a kitchen on the other side of the world, doesn't speak English. You'll get by. You'll get by. You'll learn new skills. Might be tough at the beginning, but you'll get by and you're able to do that. You go and be an accountant on the other side of the world and try and get away with that one. They can't speak the language. Can't do that.
Yeah.
So it's home. It's a passport. And it's extremely creative. It allows you to really showcase yourself on ways you can't imagine. I love this industry so much. I think that it needs a lot more people coming into it. And a lot more people are perhaps scared of coming in because of the stupid little films that come out on like on Netflix, and it showcases the industry on a very negative light.
Yeah.
Come on, that's a small fraction. Find someone that you inspire to, or who says something that connects to you. Bother them for a job. You don't need qualifications in this industry, so you won't rack up university wastes of money. You'll get straight into it. You learn from someone. You absorb like a sponge. You get excited. You grow. You leave that business 3 years or so after you've absorbed that chef's information, that sommelier's information. Then you go.
Yeah.
Chefs that chop and change every 6 months, don't even bother applying to my restaurant group. I will not hire you at all. You think you're not good enough because you've not worked in Michelin-starred restaurants. Who cares? Apply for the job. You walk into my restaurant with a smile and hunger and, them stars in your eyes that think, this is pretty cool, I want to be a part of this team. You're getting the job.
Yeah.
Skills are irrelevant. I'll teach you skills. If you fail, that's my fault. I didn't teach you enough. I didn't train you. I didn't mentor you. And not just me, my senior chefs or any of them, because, we've got 200 people within the group. I'm at the top, but we've got loads more different levels underneath that help educate and train and get excited. So if you fail, that's my job. I failed on my procedures. So no one should ever fail in this industry whatsoever. But if you ever go to work thinking, man, I don't want to do it here, get out straight away. You go to work thinking, I'm going to get beat up, get out straight away. You go to work and you get spoken to like a piece of dirt, get out. Work in a place that you're inspired by. Don't work in a place because it's got 3 stars and you just get excited and you think you need it for your CV. Create your own 3 stars. Change the culture.
Yeah.
Hoorah!
Well, what a beautiful way to wrap it up. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. And look, I'm very, very grateful for you to give time to this show, especially on a day with a new opening. Who does that? That's you're insane. But I massively appreciate you coming on. I think you've got so many amazing messages in there. And I look forward to finding out what the next chapter of Adam Handling looks like.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be exciting. The world is beautiful.
Fantastic. Adam, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
And there we have it. I'm in awe of Adam's work ethic, and it's so great to sit and chat to someone who cares so deeply about all areas of his business, and that totally translates through into what he's achieving. I'll be forever grateful to Adam for making time for the show. We will of course be back next Wednesday at 8 PM with another cracking story from hospitality, but until then, thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.